Welcome to the Once Upon an Island podcast. I'm your host, Wesley, and of course, I'm joined by my co-host,
Mary.
And today we're talking about Survivor Cook Islands from front to back, everything ridiculous that happens this season, and some of the strategy, if we feel like it.
Just some, though.
Just a little bit. But Mary, my tribe just lost immunity. I'm pretty sure they threw the challenge to get me out. I feel like I'm in danger.
Aw. Well, we love you.
I love you. Cut to tribal council. Boo, boo, boo. Jeff, I don't need the $1 million. I've found something better than the $1 million.
Oh, really?
Her name is Candace.
Candace from Raro?
Yes, she's beautiful. She's blonde, and she mouthed the words, "I love you" to me. I know it's meant to be. It was love at first sight, Jeff. Mary, have you ever said the words, "we love you" to another man?
Probably.
Did he instantly fall in love with you?
No.
Well, welcome everyone. Just a heads up. This is kind of like a rule of thumb on the show. I don't say it every recording we do. That'd be insane. But basically we will do our very best not to spoil seasons that are past the one we're talking about. But seasons that came before Cook Islands are fair game because everybody on Cook Islands has the ability or the potential to have seen the past 12 seasons. The show is making decisions based on the seasons that happened before. Mm-hmm. Players are making strategic decisions, hopefully built on the foundation of what's happened before. Like, we're not just doing Borneo all over again. So, all right, well, let's get into this right away. The big twist, Mary. Mm-hmm. Tribes are divided by race.
Right.
What did you think about it?
I thought it was a little ill-advised.
Would you say it was a little racist?
Yeah, obviously. I mean, it was just not... I think I get what they're trying... I don't really actually get what they're trying to do.
I think... Well, at the time... So for those who were at least teenagers, I would say, at this time frame of America, shows like Chappelle Show and Mind of Mencia were very popular on Comedy Central. Mind of Mencia before he got caught stealing other people's jokes. And they were very much built on race. They're making race jokes, which is a little different when it is a black stand-up comedian or I think he says he's Mexican, but I don't want to sound racist. For Mencia, Carlos Mencia, making jokes about race, it's kind of like, oh, because you're the race, you can do that. But like when you see Jeff as the face of the franchise, splitting everybody up by race, it's a little different.
Yeah.
As Parvati says, is this kosher?
Right. I mean, I am all for having a more diverse cast because up until this point, this was obviously the most diverse cast they've ever had.
Oh, by a mile.
Right. And I would be fine with it and be like, okay, we need to make sure, or not even make sure, but we really want to try to have 5 African Americans, 5,
Spanish, Latin American, whatever it's called. Yes, yeah. Because
Latin American.
I think everyone on the show has to be American. So I think we can safely say Latin American, right. Asian American, African American and then what do you call the Caucasian American?
Caucasian.
Ferrero?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm all about, including more diversity in the cast. But yeah, it wasn't a good idea to split them up at the beginning. And I'm assuming they got a lot of backlash for it.
Well, they did lose sponsors is the word on the street. Of course, I wasn't there to witness companies calling Survivor and be like, hey, we're not sponsoring you anymore. Right. But, from the information you can find online, it does seem like sponsorship went down. Though not the... I wonder if that's part of why the cars stopped. Because they didn't stop this. I mean, there wasn't a car on this season. There was one given to the fan favorite, which was Ozzy. But next season is the last time we'll see the car award. And I wonder if, this was the catalyst for that.
Gotcha. Because,
as I said, they lost sponsors. So I'm sure that, Ford or whoever it was said, hey, we'll fulfill our obligation of the contract we signed, which goes through 14. But after that, we're not doing it.
That could have been part of it, yeah.
But next season, the car thing gets ugly out of left field. So you'll see. Anyways, heck, they even advertised next season, next season, the most controversial decision ever's made. I'd say it's pretty controversial. But anyways, we'll get there when we watch next season. I don't want to hype it up too much. It is.
Yeah, you tend to do that.
Well, I know. It's just it really is, though. But we're not here to talk about Survivor Fiji. So, all right. First things first. So I do think we talked about how the race and how it was ill-advised. I think the approach was ill-advised, not the actual number of people from each race.
Right.
That's fine. And they could have done like maybe 5 tribes of 4 or 4 tribes of 5 and just not make it a thing. Just do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just don't make it the twist of the season. Because everything else, if you look at everything else this season, it's kind of like, in a lot of ways, they're trying to like go back to Pearl Islands with the shipwreck at Tribal Council. Like the Tribal Council set was, by the way, cool. Very cool. Yeah, one of the better ones they've done. And then you have just the only thing they're missing is like some sort of like unique music for the season, in my opinion, that made it feel like a Pearl Island season. Because so many stuff like Mutiny, and I don't have everything memorized, but there were so many things that like just the way the production went, the art department went at this, felt like it wanted to be Pearl Islands 2.0, but because the race thing kind of got pushed aside.
Well, Cook Islands were named after like a famous explorer, right? Yeah. Cook.
I think Cook Islands is named after a famous explorer. Mary's looking up right now. I really liked I got to give them credit. I feel like art-wise, there was a huge step up this season from season 12, personal opinion, and season 11. I mean, all the past seasons. This season felt more modern because of the art, in my opinion, versus season 12. There are times where I'm like, everything's so brown. Like, how are we're watching a challenge right now where they're going through like these obstacles, but everything like is brown with like maybe a little bit of paint on the end of like, you know, the poles or whatever.
Right.
Just but here basic. It's like everything is like colored like you're used to in like colored paint for the whole tribe, like red on, you know, for I2 is all over everything, and blue's rare, so blue's on everything. And what were you about to say, Mary? Did you look it up, Cook Islands?
Yeah, it was named after a British explorer.
So it was an explorer, okay, but it wasn't a pirate.
Well, no, not a pirate.
Not a pirate,
but still same like nautical.
Sure. Theme. And I think it's probably why they went with this. You know what, location wise, this is a location. Why didn't they ever go back here?
I don't know, because it is really nice. I liked it a lot.
And I feel silly. I'm pretty sure, though, they've never gone back to Cook Islands, because once we hit, like, once we hit, like, season 19, they start repeating the same locations a lot. We do a lot of Samoa, a lot of Nicaragua. It gets excessive.
And then Fiji.
Oh, my gosh, yes. Thankfully, next season's Fiji is a different part of Fiji, so it won't look the same as modern Survivor's Fiji. Gotcha. It's just the same 3 islands over and over and over again. I'm almost like 90% positive we went and visited Fiji, which Instagram apparently keeps telling me I want to do. I don't, not for the cost.
Really keep talking about it.
Well, I do keep talking about it. Instagram's hearing me like, oh, they really want to go to Fiji. My phone is sitting next to me. I guess when we do podcasts, maybe they know. I keep saying the word Fiji. Yeah. This location is beautiful. I mean, what did you think?
I liked it a lot. I mean, the waterfalls and the beaches. I don't know. It just seemed like paradise.
Yeah, and even though it's just, in essence, it's just islands and beaches, and it doesn't like on paper sound any different than Fiji, but it does look different.
It did look different.
At no point did I think, oh, we are just in Fiji, or a place that looks just like. No, this felt different, and I wish they would go back. I wish we could, if we have to do island beach locations, like we can never go inland again like we do with Gabon and Tocantins, why not go back to Cook Island sometime? Why do we have to be in Fiji all the time? So
I don't know.
That's all I have to say about that. I think the location's beautiful the whole season. Color grading, for those who are into film, color grading the season, art department, everything, step up. Huge step up from past seasons in a lot of ways. Yeah, and I think this is why they kind of stick with this visual style in the modern seasons, because it works.
It looks good.
It's almost like Power Rangers, though. Everything. if you're the Red Ranger, you can only wear red
until the merge.
Yeah. Well, they kind of start this art decision like if you really have an eye for this stuff, or you really watch footage the same season for 3-4 months at a time working on videos for it. Vanuatu is kind of where they started with the more colorful decisions, but here it feels like they went all in. Vanuatu, like what people were wearing was very colorful.
Right.
And then Palau, that reverted back because they threw them off the ship without their clothes, their island clothes.
Right.
Then, yeah. And Guatemala is just green everywhere because of the pyramids and where they were. Yeah. So anyways, I don't want to talk too much about the location, but I just want to point out that I was very appreciative of it. It felt different.
Yeah.
So I hope that's the same next season. I know for sure season 15 China will feel different.
Yes.
It will. Mary hasn't seen it, but it does. And then Micronesia, they go back to Palau, which is still beautiful, but we've seen Palau. So, okay. I put the opening is very reminiscent of Borneo, because I know you haven't seen all of Borneo, but you did watch the premiere with me of Borneo at a minimum.
It's been a while.
Here it has been a while, yeah. But here, the opening is we just start the show and everyone's just jumping off the boat and grabbing stuff. There's no like Jeff explaining what the season is, like he did last season, or in Guatemala. He's like we're bringing back Bobby, John, Stephanie, yay! And like, okay, now you're gonna go on a hike. And in season 12, it's like, we're here on Exile Island. The island's a place you're going to come to and do things and find an idol.
Right.
But this season's just like, go.
Yeah.
We just go off, we jump off the ship, and we get on our rafts, and we go to the shore. And you know what? It made for more time for character development. And we got to know people, which was good because we had 20 this season versus 16.
It's just more interesting, too. It's like, I don't need a whole backstory, usually. Unless there's something really new and major, but still, yeah.
I agree. I mean, and you could defend Guatemala and Exile Island by saying, or some people call Panama, I call Exile Island season 12, by saying that there was like Guatemala, they brought back returnees, to be fair, and then season 12 they did have Exile Island, and that was the first time it was like a season long twist. Right. Here we have Exile Island again, but there's no reason to like stand on it,
explain it,
yeah. But it did eat up a lot of time in that episode. Post All Stars, it felt like Survivor didn't really know what they wanted to do with their first episode, so they tried to do too much, and they didn't have the time on the air on TV to properly do it. So it kind of like they wanted to do a big thing, but also they only had 45 minutes. They had to rush through things.
Yeah.
Because Vanuatu like had that 15 minutes of volcanoes and tribal people, and we're killing a pig, and we're climbing up statues, and it was amazing. But then we had like no time at camp for character development, and I think that hurts some people's view of that season because it's a slow start because of it. But here we just jump off the boat, we go, and I like it.
Sure.
If we're not going to do an hour and a half premiere or 2 hour premiere, this is the way to do it, in my opinion.
Yeah, don't spend it too much time on fluff.
Go, because we gotta get to know these people. The big event, episode 1 is really just the race thing. It gets talked about by everybody, which will persist through episode 2 until they tribe swap in episode 3. Right. Was there anyone in the beginning of the show that caught your eye?
Besides,
or did it take a while?
Yul?
Dude, Yul with his shirt off? How does he not know how hot he is? That's all I'm saying. Like, he posted on Twitter the other day. He's like, my wife told me I should post this picture of myself to promote Survivor. I told her I don't really like posting pictures of me half naked, but I'm doing it for her. And it was just him shirtless on Survivor. And it's like, I mean, I'm not even gay. But Yul like works out and it pays off.
Right.
Yeah. No, so Yul caught your eye right away. Ozzy didn't catch your eye right away? I mean, I know you knew who he was going in the season.
Yeah, I mean, I recognized Yul and Ozzy, of course, right away.
What about Parvati, Candace?
Parvati and Candace. I recognized all of the returnee.
Penner.
I didn't recognize Penner.
Really?
No, you talk about him all the time, but I never seen him before.
You've seen Philippines with me, but it has, really? To be fair.
That was like 3 years ago.
Yeah, for perspective, Mary watches the season once over the course of like 2 weeks and then never again until we have to watch it for the show for a podcast or something. So Mary's knowledge is she one time saw Philippines like 3 or 4 years ago when we were like binging a bunch of seasons at once. Yeah. By the way, it wasn't like, and she doesn't go on Survivor Reddit. She's not like online talking about this stuff. So
I'm not the super fan. That's the whole point.
yeah. You're the contrast. But I just want, some people are like, how does she not know this? Because Mary is your casual Facebook commenting viewer.
I'm a normal person. No, I'm just kidding. I deserve any flack that I get from that.
Yeah. So Mary doesn't remember Penner, but this is Penner, I would say, in his most villainous form, because in Philippines he's definitely a hero character. Here he accidentally steals the chicken. Yes, he is. Here he accidentally steals the chicken, and they're like, we're sending him to exile for doing it. And then in exile, he's like, I stole the Asian guy's chicken. And it's like, I know it's coming from Penner. It still felt a little weird to hear like the way he was saying it. Because he didn't know the name of it. He didn't know Yul's name yet.
Well, so nobody knew anything.
The Asian guy's chicken. He couldn't say anyone. The yellow tribe's chicken or anything like that. Yul's on the green tribe. By the way, that's something you pointed out. It's a good thing they didn't just put the Asians on the yellow tribe. like that first iteration of Power Rangers where they just black guy is the Black Ranger, yellow Ranger's the Asian woman.
I didn't know that.
You
have extensive Power Ranger knowledge.
I do have some Power Rangers knowledge. But I just remember the first iteration of Power Rangers they picked the blue was a nerd. I don't know why blue was associated with nerd, but the nerd was the blue.
Blue is the erudite.
What does
blue
that mean?
is like commonly associated with scholarly things.
So you're saying the Power Rangers really went all in?
Yes.
All right, we'll talk about that a different day. You'll have to explain your color knowledge to me. But yeah, it was appreciated that at least they didn't just like put the Asian tribe on the yellow.
Well, yeah, at least they didn't go that far.
I guess. The black tribe could have had black buffs. I mean, they really could have done it all.
They could have.
I mean, the white tribe was the blue tribe. So are we saying they're the scholarly tribe? No.
It doesn't always work that way.
Oh, okay.
Just like red doesn't always mean love or anger. It just can represent those things.
Oh, okay. I understand. Okay, so I said better opening. All right, so let's move on to see episode 2. Oh, episode 1, yeah. Penner steals Yul's chicken, doesn't even realize he stole it. Mm-hmm. I think he does know he stole it. Stole it. By the way, he was like kind of acting, but I don't know for sure.
Kind of felt like a free for all. So yeah, I'm sure he was like, "Oh, there's a loose chicken. I know they threw it in the water, but I'm going to grab it." I mean, why? Yeah. Why not? If Rupert had done it, it would have been like, "Oh yeah, Rupert, good job."
Good observation, Mary. You're correct. If Rupert had done it, it would have been the most heroic thing we've ever seen, especially Pearl Island's version of Rupert. Episode 2, I noticed this. I didn't when it first happened. So Ozzy catches a chicken. Mm-hmm. Pretty cool,
right?
Like Ozzy catches a chicken. Like, not everybody can do that. I can't do that, I'm sure, if I was on the island. But then we cut to Yul outsmarting 2 chicken and catching them both.
Right.
And I thought, oh, what a contrast here, because with how the season's going to end. Yul beating Ozzy by 1, but really Ozzy catches 1 and Yul traps 2. Right. He outsmarts 2, and it's almost like how they play the game.
True.
Like Ozzy has pure skills and Yul just uses his brain to outwit everybody. So I don't know if anyone else caught that, or most people.
Obviously,
caught that.
I didn't know who second place was, so I didn't catch the significance.
Mary thought Ozzy wasn't making final 3.
I really didn't. I thought he was going to go a lot earlier.
If he didn't win 5 immunities, he wouldn't have. I don't think.
Yeah.
He really, those immunities really saved his butt, because the people were like, probably should get rid of Ozzy, but nobody was like, we should get rid of Yul.
Yeah. That we heard.
Nobody was like, well, you think it would have come up because because they want you to think the Super Idol could be played. Remember Terry? It was like, if Terry loses, the Super Idol's getting played. Mm-hmm. But there was no like real danger of him playing the Super Idol.
Right.
If it's from what the show's portraying, and you think they would have wanted to do that.
They did talk about trying to flush it at some point, but
Cowboy did. We'll get there.
Right. It wasn't. It didn't happen, obviously.
No, not even. No, it wasn't even attempted. Which is why next season they'll drop the Super Idol entirely until Tony in 28 gets it. That's how long it'll take.
Future spoilers.
Oh, sorry. A guy named Tony in season 28 will get the Super Idol. Like the Super Idol comes back one more time, and then in season 32, if you combine 2 idols, it makes a Super Idol. But like, it's not just find it on Exile. By the way, in episode 2, Yul finds the Super Idol. Like, talk about killing the suspense of one. Like, Terry didn't find until episode 4, so at least there was like some episodes of suspense, but
no, he's just super smart.
Penner was doing what I would have done. He's like, all right, well, I made an A here on the thing. Like, I'm trying to visualize it with my arms right now, as if you can see that on the podcast, but because the clue is like, if you make the grade, you'll find the idol or whatever. Mm-hmm. So he's like trying to make an A, and he's like, okay, I'm here. This is, if I stand here, I make an A. This is the spot I should dig. He digs, nothing. And he's just like baffled. And I'm like, that would have been me. Like, Yul's second clue, I'm glad Yul figured it out. I still would have been, I can't see the island. What are you talking about? And I would have been digging. I would not have found episode 2, is what I'm trying to say. I would have needed 4 clues. I would need like Terry Dietz' number of clues to find the sucker. But no, Yul just like outsmarts everything and everyone. It's wild. Billy and Candace fall in love. We joked about at the beginning.
Right. So when we started this episode, Wesley was like, Mary, this episode is crazy. You'll like something very unprecedented happens. And, I just can't wait for you to see it. I'm like,
I said, if we're going to watch Cook Islands and start it, we have to watch the first and second episode. We can't just watch the first episode. Because
episode 2 is so unprecedented. And Yul finds the idol, and he's like, he found it in 2 days. Wasn't that so amazing? I'm like, yeah, that's
I was
so
setting her up.
amazing. So trying to get me to lower my expectations because he'd built it up so much. And then,
Too
of
much.
course, the Candace and Billy thing happened. And when
Did
he
you
had
see
to
that
rewind
coming?
it, no, I didn't see it coming. He had to rewind it, and we watched it like 3 times just so he could laugh at it again.
Well, you laughed the second time. The first time you were blown away.
The first time I was just shocked. The second time I laughed, and the third time I was like, okay, can we please move on?
I would have rewinded a 4th time if you kept laughing. I'm just saying. I would have
Yes.
kept rewinding until you stopped. All right. So they fall in love. Billy gets voted out. Next episode, I thought we weren't going to get any follow-up on that, but no.
Which...
Go ahead.
This has to be, in my experience, and it's very limited, the only time that throwing a challenge actually worked out in their favor.
Did it though? Because Ozzy is the only one to survive out of this tribe, and the tribe gets decimated. The people from the tribe get, sure, because the tribe swap happens next episode. You could technically say, like, they survived throwing a challenge.
True, but then they were down in numbers.
But then by the time they gets, like, Ozzy's the only one left. Mm-hmm. Like, I don't know if that Billy staying would have made any difference, but if they didn't go tribal, somebody else would have voted out. Maybe that person would have made the difference.
Right. Sorry. Usually, the ones that I've seen is they throw it and then
game.
it's like immediately they're just done.
Pearl Island's classic example. They thought, okay, well, we've won 3 in a row or whatever it's been. We can throw one, and then they throw it, and until the merge, they just lose and lose. Like, they just cannot. And you just don't throw. There's no need. You can get rid of these people at the merge.
Right.
Billy is not Billy's not an individual immunity threat.
Right.
He's just annoying to live with.
Yep.
That's pretty bad.
Not a reason to get rid of somebody.
It's pretty bad though. Like, it's like day 5 or 6 and they're already like, we need to throw they're already saying we need to throw a challenge. This guy is the worst. Hadn't even been a week yet and they were already like, this guy is annoying me so much. I want to lose.
Do you think they casted Billy so that he would, because I know it seems like they have to have some sort of really strange character that makes good TV sometimes.
It's kind of like they had one on each tribe, but I'm trying to think. Okay, so we have Cowboy on the green tribe. We have Billy on the red tribe. I'm trying to think who would have been on who's the yellow and blue tribe's weird person. I'm agreeing with you. I think they definitely cast people for drama.
Well, I don't know if every tribe had to have one. We're just saying it seems like every season has one.
Oh, every season has like their big.
Yeah.
I think in this season for me it was Cowboy, and it was a shame he went home when he did. Mm-hmm. Well, like last season was Shane. Season before was Judd. Season 10, I don't know who their wild and kooky character was, but then we get to like Token Sheens later on. It's Coach. So
that's just sometimes I think why do they cast these people, and then I'm like, oh well, because they want drama on TV.
Yeah.
Because they want a Billy and Candace moment.
Coach is a classic. I understand why he's like everyone's favorite out of all the kookiest characters they've ever had on the show. But for me, it's still Judd. And I hope you get bit by an alligator if you don't agree with me.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you better. All right. Candace blown away by Billy's confession, though. They did a follow-up. They did the tribe swap after 2 episodes, which is an improvement. Last time we said they couldn't even go 2 episodes for doing a tribe swap.
Right.
And I said that under already knowing what was going to happen. You didn't. But I already know what's going to happen this season. Like, they could have gone this time, though, because they had more people. They could have gone 3 because we had 20 people to start the season. So with 18 people, we're going from 4 to 2.
Yeah, but then you extend the race wars, and did they want to do that?
That's true. I don't know. Maybe it just wasn't panning out the way they thought. I don't know. But season 12, as I told you though, last season, I think part of having 4 tribes was to sell buffs.
Yeah.
More buffs to sell. There's more reason. More buffs to sell, the better. That's why I think. I know they can say all they want, but when we go from 2 tribes to 3, which by the way is one of my least favorite times.
Yeah.
That's in the future seasons. But when they go from 2 tribes to 3, I'm like, we should always go down in numbers, like 3 to 2 to 1 or 4 to 2 to 1. But when they do 2 to 3, it's like, you just want to sell buffs.
Right.
That's how I feel about it. Doesn't mean I'm correct. So anyways, episode 3, Jeff has to read a note to explain someone going to exile. This isn't new. It's episode 3. Because we had already sent 2 people to exile, and he had to pull a note out to act like, all right, guys, I promise I'm not making it up. But he didn't do that. You don't have to do it on 3rd episode. We've already been there. Oh, I thought that was... I wrote it down because I thought it was weird.
Wasn't it just because they had merged? Because before it was like the winner picks a loser to go.
Or no. The loser picked a winner. That was different from last season because the yellow tribe lost the first immunity. So they sent Penner to exile because Penner's tribe had 1 immunity.
Right.
And then second episode, Yule's tribe didn't lose immunity, so Yule went. It was weird how they were doing the first couple episodes.
Winners went to exile.
Winners, yeah. So it was like the rich get richer in that way.
Right.
Like your tribe's already winning, and you get a chance to get the super idol.
So after the merge, it was the losers.
Yeah, it kind of went back to normal-ish, I would say.
Right.
I forgot exactly what episode, but the first couple episodes was
Maybe
the winners get sent, and it was like their twist on it. But I want to say Exile Island was beautiful, but way less coverage from rain and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
time.
That part was it sucked.
Clearly.
I felt
because
bad.
season 12, they had all those trees. They could get underneath. They could, I don't know. I just feel like there's more chances to get coverage in season 12 from the rain. Season 13, though, is definitely like, you're kind of out in the open and that's it. That ship gives you no coverage that they built that's like buried in this. I mean, like cool. That's what I'm saying. Like
Very
art
cool.
department stepped up the season. Very cool for Red Letter Media fans. Very cool. I clapped when I saw it. All right. Okay. So I didn't really have anything for episode 4. And by the way, this is just major events that happen. Episode 5, Rero and I2 see each other because I2, I believe I2 just pops over to the Rero camp.
They said, hey, we're running low on coconuts or something. How about we explore some of these other islands around here and see if we can find some? And they just happened to row to the other tribe's camp. They're just like, okay.
Yeah. And it was like,
I feel
you
like
can do this?
yeah, I feel like in Modern Survivor they wouldn't allow them to do that.
Could you imagine like just let's go row over to another island? I don't know if they even have boats though in the modern seasons in current day Fiji. Seasons 33 and beyond, I don't even know if they have boats. Like I know they get rides everywhere now. But back here, like Guatemala, they had
to row themselves.
I want to see, season 12, I think they got a ride to their camps. Season 12 didn't have one. 13 they had it because they rafted off of the ship. Like they got the rafts off the ship and then left and went to their island, kind of like Borneo. It was like very much like Borneo where they had their own rafts. Yeah, season 5 they had their boats. So it's just it varies season to season. But season 6 they had boats. Yeah, no other season where they like let's go but anyways they show up and you think we're in for a fun time, right? No, the other tribe's like, get the heck out of here. We hate every one of you. And it's like, whoa.
It was really weird.
Rero was real big jerks to these people.
Well,
wouldn't you happy to see new faces?
No, because they came over to get their food.
That's true.
They came over and I forget who it was that said, hey, we were just looking for some coconuts or we were looking for whatever it was.
Cowboy or Ozzy.
And they were like, if you help us gather them, we'll split them with you. And they're like, no, this is our island. This is our resources are here. You need to go somewhere
I understand that part. Yeah. Rero was definitely a slacker tribe in a lot of ways. Like Penner, he said it too much. He was clearly fed up with them, but there wasn't many people working on the Rero tribe. Though that was after Penner. Was that after Penner defected? Yes. That was after Penner defected. Yeah. So, but before, I mean, Rero was just like, I'm sure there was plenty of resources. Ozzy could have climbed trees, got down things they were never going to get.
Probably.
Because nobody else was climbing trees. Ozzy, by the way, lands on I2, just climbing trees, knocking down like bunches of coconuts. Like, what a boss.
He is.
This is probably his cleanest showing. Like, no, he's nice. He's not vengeful in any way, which he will be in his returning appearances. This is probably the best Ozzy season, which shows when he finishes second.
Right.
But I just mean from a storytelling perspective. Yeah, they're just not happy about it. And I thought that was going to be more of a fun time, but it was not.
It was not.
Be like, hey guys, we're so happy to see you. Could you not steal our food? Like, wow, new faces. Episode 6. Here's the big one. This is the other thing I was waiting for. Plan Voodoo.
Yeah, you hyped this one up a lot too. And I was like, but nothing happened.
I know. I probably overhyped it. I was so excited. All right. So I know that Cowboy's tribe hates Cowboy, right? They're like, oh, we understand he's gone through things, but he's like kind of holding us back in terms of the views of the world. Cowboy's hilarious in a lot of times. Sometimes I am like, Cowboy, you gotta it's like if you could rein back Cowboy's jokes a little bit, this dude's like naturally funny.
Right.
Like some of the jokes I was like laughing so hard, but then other jokes I was like, hold it back just a little bit. See, because the show definitely was like, he's funny, but also sometimes he goes over the line. And I was like, I felt that. But I would get it more so I think if I was the same race as them and I was like, please don't make us all look like this stereotype Cowboy.
Right.
And Cowboy's like, just buy into, he's like, stereotypes are true. And so be the stereotypes. Well, like what he said almost like right out of the gate in episode 1. I went back and rewatched episode 1. That's how I know
I
this.
trust you.
Oh, okay. There's giving me a look like, did it? Yeah. But playing voodoo, Cowboy basically says Yul, not knowing Yul has the idol, because they think Penner has the idol. I don't know why, but they do. Because Penner's like labeled as a villain for just like existing this season sometimes. Yul had a dream. Yul's just like listening there with like this look of like, kill me now. He's like... Basically, he had a dream where he went and saw a shaman, is what he said, and she says, do you have credit card applications? Like MasterCard, Visa. He's like labeling all the, like, talk about free advertisement, by the way. Like MasterCard, Visa, American Express. And he's like, and she's like, if you have 3 credit card applications here and 3 credit card applications here. And he's like, whoa, 3 and 3, playing voodoo. That's how you get rid of the super idol. It's like, how do these two things connect, Cowboy? How did you get from this to this? But it was the wildest way to come up with the like what is going to go on to be a standard plan that everyone does. No one before Cowboy come up with a split vote. There's no need in season 11 and before.
I just don't understand how no one had thought about it before.
I think the reason okay, so let's think back to season 12. Let's say we're in season 12 and you and I are not Terry Dietz, aka we're on the Shane Powers, Aris, Danielle group. You know, we're in that group, the Kasaya group, Suri, which would be sweet, but also insane. But anyway, so let's say we're in that group, right? We're not winning immunities. You and I are like, how do we get out Terry? Well, we can't vote him out because he has the immunity necklace around his neck. Okay, so are we gonna vote Shane? Like, you know why even like sit around and think about how to get out Terry? You can't. He always had the necklace.
Right.
And by the time they got to Final Four and he didn't have the necklace, well, that was the last time his idol could be used, and we knew he had the idol, and it was good after the vote. So there's no like time to ever think like Terry needed to be eligible to be voted out twice, and he was only eligible to be voted out one time,
right? While
the idol was good. So it made zero sense to ever. I mean, they might, and somebody might have come up with it, but there's no reason to ever like show it because it was never a thing that could ever happen. If anybody came up with it, that's what I'm saying on the show. Because technically, season 12, Austin came up with the first ever fake idol that was with the intention of tricking somebody. Because I know I'm about to get really in the weeds here. Season 11, Gary found the very much underpowered idol, made a fake one, put it back, but no one ever found it.
Right.
So it was like,
didn't have any impact.
Austin was going to make a fake idol, so people thought that he had the idol. Gary didn't want anybody to know he had it. Austin wanted people to think he had the super idol, so they wouldn't vote him out. By the way, ingenious plan, because people think you have super idol, they're going to be scared to vote you out.
Right. As
we saw with Terry and then with Yul, which this is like the best seasons to make for one. So anyways, he made one, but he won't get credit because that was a secret scene. That's my point of season 12. So here it's like, okay, now Yul doesn't win every immunity. They could have. They had many chances. But even after Cowboy, like Yul's like, this plan's ingenious. I hope nobody ever uses it against me and finds, because they find out he has the idol, like come the merge basically, because he tells his I24 group, he's like, hey, I have the super idol. Everybody's like, oh, sweet.
I guess I just forget that idols weren't really that much of a thing in earlier seasons.
Yeah, there only been one season where like this specific version of the idol existed, and the one Gary Hogaboom had was basically an immunity necklace because you had to play it before any votes are cast. So we knew whether he was eligible or not. It wasn't like, will he play the idol? It was, we'll know before we even vote. So
crazy.
Yeah. So, I mean, there's no, you could have thought about it in season 12, but like, why? Why waste your brain power on that when it was never an option? You can daydream about it, but what's the point? So Cowboy is credited as first person to come with a split vote plan.
Cool.
And Yul says it's ingenious, but Cowboy's labeled as like this crazy guy who's like making red marks to people's heads. It's like Cowboy's actually like really smart, but like the way he goes about it, like people are like, this dude's wild, because he's like curing headaches and everything. But it's like the way he's doing it, everybody's like,
well, that's how you cure headaches.
I don't like Cowboy. I'm like, if Cowboy's curing my headaches, Cowboy can stay. Because I'm sure I feel like I would be the same way. If I don't drink enough water, I get headaches. Is that same for you? Is it the opposite?
Most people do.
Okay, well, whenever I got headaches in the past, people tell me drink soda, and I'm like, why would that solve anything? I feel like somebody in the comments can tell me why it's correct. It never works for me.
Caffeine can help for a time, but it's not like a solving the problem.
Caffeine's usually the reason I have that headache.
Right.
Yeah. So I don't have anything for episodes 7 or 8. I guess nothing major happened that I thought was worthy of talking about. Episode 9, Mutiny.
Oh, yeah.
This has come up as an option since at least season 5. Nobody's ever taken them up on it.
As well, they shouldn't.
As well they shouldn't. Yeah. Not that it worked out anyways. But
That's what I'm saying. It doesn't work out.
Like this is episode 9's like it felt like this should have been where the merge was, but instead Jeff's like, let's do a mutiny. Because I think this episode's where the jury starts. Because we have like 3 people on the jury. And by the way, what do you think about that? We have 3 people on the jury who didn't make the merge, aka they didn't actually meet everyone who's is that fair? That's my question.
No, that's not fair. I don't think that's fair. Because like you say, they don't know everyone. So how could they properly make a decision? Although, I mean, I realize that there are people on the jury who barely know them. And then we know that Tribal's a lot longer than we show on TV. So I'm sure they got to know them better over time. And then, of course, they hear from the people who could get voted off.
I think it affects the end, though, because, for example, Brad's the first person on the jury, right? Mm-hmm. And I'm tracking you. I'm with you. Brad's first person on the jury. He never spent any time, not one day, with Ozzy. So who is he going to vote for? Obviously, Yul. That's not fair to Ozzy.
Right.
He never got a chance. He never even got like a couple days like you do when you merge and then you start the jury. Man, that's the one thing. It's like Ozzy. I'm not saying Brad was, which is vote specifically. I'm just saying Ozzy never had a chance because, okay, here you go. Rebecca and Jenny, also the next 2 members of the jury. The first 3 members of the jury never spent any time with Ozzy. Mm-hmm. Not one day.
Did they all vote for Yul,
I'm going to double check on how the voting broke down. But let's just say those 3, if any of them voted for Ozzy, it's not because he spent time with them.
Right.
I'm looking right now. So shockingly enough, Brad votes for Yul, but the other 2 who never spent a day with Ozzy voted for Ozzy. They must have really liked him at Tribal Council because when else would they have had time to... They must have liked what they heard from people voting out of the game. That's the thing. Like, would have Ozzy gotten more votes? Would he gotten less votes? Because these 3 people he never spent any time with. Yeah. Like, not in the merge, not before they swapped, nothing. He was on I2 the whole time, and they were on Raro, or they were on Puka Puka, or Manahiki. I'm butchering these names, I'm sure. They were just never on his tribe. So, but yeah, let's mutiny. So Candace goes, and then, which makes sense because she really wanted to be with Adam. As it turns out, she really wanted to be with Adam. But Penner jumps too. And I thought this was a big mistake for his game, I feel like.
Penner felt like she was his...
ride or die.
Yeah. Number 1 alliance member, which we find out does not.
She has no allegiance to Penner.
Right. And he, I guess, just did not know that. Didn't know that she was playing him basically the whole time. And they had just had a conversation earlier in the day about how they didn't trust the other members of Alliance and, they're not going to be the ones that get backstabbed and all this stuff.
Setting up them jumping.
Right.
Yeah.
And but it still just doesn't make sense. You don't want, number 1, you lose a lot of jury votes that way, I would imagine.
Almost immediately, Penner's like, this was a mistake.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, it was.
But Candace doesn't. I don't know. I know
Candace was just an emotional decision, I feel like.
So I have a question, and maybe this is more for me, but is Candace more attractive than Parvati? Because she nuts 2 guys this season, Billy and Adam, which, by the way, world record. I don't think any other season we've seen a woman have 2 guys want to be with her on Survivor. And I don't think in the future that happens. Maybe it does. But Parvati's like the second chick for Adam. She's the side chick.
Yeah.
Like Candace comes over and Parvati's pushed to the side. Candace is number 1 for Adam. Is Candace hotter than Parvati? Am I missing? I thought Parvati was supposedly like you watch like any season with Parvati past this one. It's like Parvati, the hottest like girl to ever play Survivor. She'll flirt her way into your heart or whatever.
Well, she's a bigger flirt.
But Candace apparently like this season, like almost unintentionally, obviously, and with one person, like how? Like
I don't know.
I think Candace is more normal and Parvati's more flirty, but I wouldn't say like one's way hotter than the other. I just thought it was funny when they were like Adam, Candace, and Parvati are all cuddling in shelter, and Candace clearly is number 1, and he's like, well, maybe all 3 of us can, and it's like, bro, it clearly was never gonna last.
Well, yeah, obviously.
Yeah. And even at the reunion, he's like, well, she's a nice girl. And the entire crowd goes, oh, because they know what that means.
Yeah.
When Jeff asked about their relationship.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry. I just want to point out because I was thinking about why Candace is flipping, which is really for Adam.
And I know she would say it was strategic because he was her number one ally, but I mean, how many days did they spend together before they got split up? And then, yeah, he's not going anywhere. So why not keep your alliances that you have strong on the current tribe and not take anyone off and then get together without him at the merge? Like,
I wonder if we would have merged had nobody mutinied. I wonder if there was like, anybody want a mutiny? No? Okay, we're merging. But because there was a mutiny, we didn't merge. I wonder if it was like a split decision. Like, okay, if nobody mutinies, we merge. But if like he didn't say that, obviously.
Right.
I wonder. Well, interesting. Very much a delayed merge.
Sorry. Interestingly enough, because Candace and Penner mutiny, Ozzy jumps up in the alliance because he was at the bottom of the alliance.
Yeah, he was like next to go.
He would have been next to go. So they handed him second place by leaving, which of course they didn't know that. But I did like how those four like just
got really close,
immediately bonded and got really close and really overcame the odds. Right. Well, as they should have. But I don't know. It made for a really good story when they were the final four.
Yes, it did. It really helps their story. It makes them an alliance people remember. I do want to point out that, weirdly enough, like right from the beginning of the season, all these tribes have like names, right? The full name, but we like immediately are already shorthanding their, what it's called, nicknaming them, shorthanding their name. Like instead of Rarotonga, it's just Raro. Raro, I2, like, but this is the only season I can think of where they, like in the first 13, where they just like shorthand their names, make their names shorter. I don't know.
You would know. I have no idea.
No, I'm just like, it's very confusing. Why? Okay, if we were going to shorten their names from the beginning, why did we give them these long names? Or if we're going to give them these names, why? I don't know. Just like, I mean, right away, like they get on the rafts and they land on their beaches and already on the bottom screen says Raro in quotes. Like it doesn't even have Rarotonga, nothing. Oh, maybe they thought the names were too hard to say, or maybe nobody on the tribes ever said the full name, so they're like, well, we kind of got to go with it.
Maybe.
I don't know.
Who knows?
Who knows? Okay. Yeah, the mutiny happens. I would say Candace, it kind of works out for Jonathan. While he doesn't do bad on the season, and in fact, he beats Candace. I don't think it worked out for him. He beats Candace by one spot, but I don't think this works out for him at all. But the question is, would it? Like, it was still going to be Yul, Becky, Sundra. That was the final three. Sure, Ozzy jumps in because he wins a bunch of immunities, but that was basically Yul's final three. It was not Penner, Candace weren't included, right. And Yul was running the show. So, while on its face it seems terrible, would it have made any difference to Penner's spot? Would he have done any better? Because he gets 7th this season, so he would beat Parvati and Adam, is what we're assuming. If he stuck with I2 is what I'm saying. So I2 gets 5 because Penner stays with them. He doesn't flip. But he just get 5th. Okay, he moves up 2 spots, but he never had a chance to win.
Right. But the thing is, the only person I could see actually beating Yul or figuring out how to take him out is Penner. Combined with Ozzy. Yeah, Ozzy would have. I think he would have. And Sundra probably would have, as long as it wasn't her, you know what I mean? So if he had stayed and strengthened his relationships there's a chance. I say he has a better chance of taking them down. He goes to the other tribe. Nobody likes him. Everybody hates him. And he's like at the bottom the whole time. They only keep him because he can fish and provide food for them. So
Penner's great in Philippines. Here, he's definitely labeled as the villain. If he reaches the end, the jury's not gonna vote for him.
Right.
It's how, like, I don't fully understand it. I'm gonna have to rewatch a season, of course, and want to do story videos, and maybe I'll get a better grasp. But upon first watch, maybe it's because I have future Penner in mind. Like Penner here is like also, and I know in the future, like Yul's gonna be like playing Winners at War to support Penner and his wife with their health battle. And it's like, I know they're gonna become like best friends in the future, but like here, they're obviously not best friends.
Right.
So I have a lot of future reference that's probably clouding my judgment on Penner this season. Maybe Penner is a villain. I don't know. We'll find out. Episode 10, I wrote this down because it kind of just came out of left field, considering how much we've talked about race and everything. Penner says he's the wandering Jew. I didn't even know he's Jewish. I just thought that was an interesting aside.
Yeah. Yep. Interesting.
I don't know. I feel like that, I don't know. I just thought it was interesting. That's all I have to say. I thought it was cool, and I had nothing more than that, but I wrote it down. So.
Okay.
I forget exactly who. It's episode 10. So I'm going to guess this was still tribal reward, because my whole note is Yul gets grinded on at the reward by a local woman or two. He is just getting, like, they see Yul and they're like, holy cow, this is the hottest man I've ever seen. And they're grinding on him. And Yul's not very comfortable with this.
Yeah, probably not.
But
I mean, he kind of got into it. He started dancing.
I love when they include the locals.
Yes.
In a reward. Even in modern seasons where they just have like a local come to the camp and they're like, here's how you live. It's always like, wow, this is like, here's somebody who's an expert at this location. Or we bring someone in to judge what they've built, their shelters. Like, it's just, it's a different flavor to add to the episode. Here, it's a sexual flavor for Yul.
Yeah, he did end up in the fetal position on the ground, asking them to go away, basically. But it was super funny to watch.
So this a couple episodes later, episode 12, I believe at this point we have merged. Maybe this is right before they merge. I don't know. Episode 12, Penner says $1 million would screw up Parvati's life. Funny considering what happens in the future. He doesn't know she's going to win $1 million. Parvati wins a season in the future. Like, holy cow. Like, if you somehow avoided that as a spoiler, good on you. Sorry for ruining it. I said it might happen. But anyways, he said Parvati winning $1 million would screw up her life. I mean, I've never met Parvati in person, but she's not in jail or anything. She didn't like OD on drugs, but maybe at this time, if she got $1 million, it would not have been good for her.
I can see how thinking an immature person doesn't need a lot of money because they're just going to waste it and sure, ruin their lives. But I think that was one of Penner's problems, is that he just got upset by things.
Very judgmental.
He's a little judgmental, yes, and didn't try to understand the people around him because there are different people in the world.
Thing. He didn't try to understand people around him because he's very smart, and we see that. He doesn't understand, and it's almost like he wants to, but like it's the thought of why they would do things they're doing baffles him,
right?
Which I can relate.
Yes.
I think Penner most accurately plays like how I would play if I played Survivor.
Yes.
Unfortunately.
Yes.
He never gets better. He doesn't get better than 7th season. He might have got 5th, but like he was never going to win. And I would sure hope that the version of me that would play would be Penner in Philippines, not Penner in Cook Islands. But I could see that. I'd be like, why are we all just sleeping around the camp? And it's like, because we're saving energy for challenges, basically. And we don't want to do the work. And it's like, it baffles you. And you're just like, we need to do these things. I've cooked the fish, make the fire. I have to do everything. Of course, we saw things like this from Rupert when he played. He's like, I caught the fish. I have to make the fire. I'm eating it for myself. And other people are like, well, Rupert, that's just, why would you do that? Why wouldn't you share it with us? Because here again, we have almost the same thing. Like, Penner, why aren't you sharing it with us? Because Penner doesn't like you. And it goes both ways, by the way.
It wasn't even Penner's idea. It was Ozzy's idea.
Yeah, I know. That's Ozzy slid under on that one.
Right.
Yeah.
Penner got the blame for it.
Ozzy this season, very tame considering what we're going to see in future seasons of Ozzy. Very much a tame Ozzy, like a very chilled Ozzy. Very, very, very chilled. You'll see. I know you haven't seen Micronesia, but next time Ozzy gets more fun.
I remember rooting for him in Redemption Island.
South Pacific,
whatever.
Yeah, that's a very split. I turned out lately. I find out because Ozzy, this is not really a spoiler. Ozzy comes back and plays 3 more times. We won't tell you how he does, but the third time he plays, like it turns out, I thought everybody universally kind of like loved Ozzy. Nope. I found out. It's more of like a 65-35 split. I did a poll.
65-35.
Well, 65 people love Ozzy. 65% of people loved Ozzy. 35% of people didn't like him. I'm on the 65%.
Really? Yeah, I like Ozzy.
I think overall I like Ozzy. Everyone has flaws. Overall I like Ozzy.
Yeah.
Okay. Next note I have is Candace and Adam make out when she's voted out.
Yes, that was so awkward.
And I love how Jeff... This is... Okay. Jeff post season 40 is like Mr. Rogers. It's weird. This is the Jeff I'm used to, the Jeff I know and love of 40 and before, where Jeff's like, you know, if he really liked you, he'd given you his immunity necklace. as he's like going to snuff her torch. Like, Jeff, yes, I love the snarkiness. But this is why Jeff was the right choice for host and Phil Kogan's the right choice for Amazing Race. Like, you cannot swap you swap the two. I don't think it's the same shows.
No.
You have a much nicer, kinder Survivor. I don't think it lasts. You have a much edgier Amazing Race, and it might have gone almost trashy. I'm being for real, because Amazing Race at times, even with Phil, this nice, sweet host and Phil, some seasons get rough. And I haven't shown you the rougher ones on purpose. We've watched almost every season, but there's a few where it's like, this is rough. So
Gotcha.
I'm glad that the hosts landed the way they did, because Phil here would not have said anything like that. He'd be like, well, you know, tribe has spoken. He would have said very kind, just like, you know, if he really liked you, give you his immunity necklace.
Right.
Like, yes, Jeff, yes.
That was funny.
That's so true, though. If he really liked you, he'd give you his immunity necklace. If he really liked you that much.
Very true.
Yeah, but it's okay. It's funny. Episode 14, we jump a couple episodes forward. Reward challenge. Yul, Ozzy, Parvati in the hot tub. Everyone's naked. Everyone. Not just Parvati, not just Ozzy. Yul, too. In the hot tub. And Parvati's going all in on trying to, like, get Ozzy to... Basically, because she knows she's on the bottom. She's trying to get Ozzy to, like, flip to her side, but... Parvati went way too late on this. She was too much on Adam's hip.
Right.
If you really want to do it, she should have done this sooner.
Yeah. A little too late.
We know Yul's single. We know Ozzy's, well, as far as I know, he's single here. Like, she probably could have I don't know if she could have got Yul. I don't know if they're the same, but she probably could have got Ozzy. We
tried earlier.
We find out later that Ozzy, in the future seasons, that Ozzy is susceptible to attractive women, so...
Who knows?
Who knows? I don't know why. I think she took too long, and it became obvious it was a strategic thing and not like, I'm into you.
Right.
So anyways, Parvati this season, though, is much more just a flirty girl versus the strategic force that will come in future seasons. Because this is not really a spoiler, but Parvati comes back and plays 3 more times, and she's a strategic force in future seasons. Here, just like somebody who almost she probably got recruited for the show. That's what it seems like. It seems like a lot of these people did. I don't remember most of these people this season. You want me to name some names? You can tell me if you remember them. We're going to play a fun game. It's called Mary, do you remember who this was? And tell me what tribe they were on. You ready?
I can't tell you who anyone was on. I don't even know the name of Yul's tribe.
No, I'm sorry. Yeah, that might get a little racist if I say what tribe they're on. Fair enough. I won't do that to you. But do you remember Sekou Bunch?
Yes.
Because he was the first one voted off.
He was African American.
Yes.
I remember his name.
We're not going to get too much in that part, but
No,
yeah.
I'm just proving to you that I remember.
All right. Billy.
Yes, of course.
All right. So the first 2 boots you remember. You ready? Cecilia.
No.
JP.
Yes.
You remember JP? What did he do? I'm asking that genuinely. I don't remember anything about JP.
I just remember him.
Oh, okay. Stephanie.
No.
Cowboy.
Yes.
Obviously. Cowboy. He should have been brought back for fans versus favorites. Christina.
No.
Jessica.
Yes.
Jessica's the one with the
Flicka.
wild hair.
Yeah.
Flicka. Yeah. Better known as Flicka. Brad.
Yes.
You remember?
First member of the jury.
Yeah. Also, by the way, Brad introduces Yul to his future wife.
Oh.
Yul meets his wife because Brad introduced them.
That's cool.
I thought that was cool too. Rebecca.
Yes.
Jenny.
Yes.
Not because they did anything, just because they made it later in the
I just
game.
remember them.
Oh, okay. I guess
I just watched the seasons. But
Yeah.
sure, ask me in a month and I probably won't remember.
That's true. Like for me, Cecilia, JP, Stephanie, that little like section of the season, I completely like don't. Christina, I'm like, who? Jessica, I remember because her name was Flicka and she has this wild hair. Brad, I kind of remember. Rebecca and Jenny kind of go under the radar for me. Nate, I remember. Nate had a unique personality. And of course, Candace was involved in drama. Penner is drama. Parvati is flirty. Adam was way overconfident in himself. We gotta talk about this. This dude is like calling other people boring. Like, talk about the pot calling the kettle black here.
Yeah.
Adam, you were not that interesting.
No.
Like you just were involved with Candace, which was a thing that was stood out, but not because you are interesting.
Probably the lamest character in the season.
Of the last...
Of the whole season.
I would say of the final 9, from Nate on, Adam to me is like right there with Sandra and Becky as you're not that interesting, Adam. I don't know who you think you are. But yeah, you get Sandra and Becky, and I feel like they kind of got the shaft for people who make it to the final four. I'm like, I feel like I didn't really get to know them that much.
I mean, we hear from Becky like the whole season.
Becky's
she's
very
Yul's
smart, but I just don't feel like I got to know her.
Sure, I guess we don't know a lot of her personal life, maybe.
Yeah, no, just like who she is, and yeah, I mean, she was like Yul's right hand woman, but I mean, that could be me. Maybe I just didn't. And I knew she was a finalist, by the way. I was looking for Sandra, Becky, Ozzy, and Yul content, but it was really like Yul almost all season.
Right, and they focus on Yul because he's the winner, and
Ozzy has that amazing. I mean, Ozzy, I feel like, why didn't we hear this earlier? Maybe he just never told it. But when he talked about his dad in the final tribal, I was like, there's the emotional vote. Like, and it's real, by the way. I've listened to a podcast many years later with Ozzy, and like listened to his dad's passed away since then, but he says they never fully connected the way he wanted, which is kind of a shame when you watch this and you see how hurt he is here.
Yeah,
he's like 24-ish. Don't have his age in front of me, but I'm guessing it's about what he was. Yeah, Ozzy is. Oh, I nailed it. He was 24. Yeah, winner of season 31 falls right into that.
Yeah,
range of 25-35 we've talked about in our podcast. But I would say, yeah, so Sandra and Becky, let's talk about this, the final four fire making challenge.
Oh man,
you didn't see this coming.
No, I didn't.
Right as the challenge started, I learned my lesson about hyping things up. Right as the challenge started, I said, just to let you know, this is my red yacht, which is our code for, by the way, I'm dead serious, like I'm not joking in the least, my favorite fire making challenge of all time. Mary's like, oh, this is gonna be a good one. It's gonna be like
so exciting.
This is gonna be within seconds of each other. Is what Mary is thinking. When I didn't tell her why. And what do we get? Like half an hour in, and people are starting like yawn and falling asleep. And we go an hour in, and Jeff's like, we're switching to matches.
Yeah.
Like Jeff's, you could just see it in his face. He's annoyed.
He's so annoyed.
Ozzy
was so annoyed.
Everyone there was so disappointed. Like, if you were on track to win and your name was Sandra Becky, I think you lost your track real quick.
Yeah.
If you had any chance of getting a vote, I think you lost it at that final four fire making.
Unfortunately.
Oh, man. And it was almost like an Ozzy decision because Yul was never going to vote against Becky to make that a fire making competition. Ozzy was like, I just want to keep it fair. Like, they can compete because that's all Ozzy wants. He wants people to compete for their spots.
Right.
And thank you, Ozzy.
Yeah, I respected that.
No, I don't even care about that decision. I'm talking about the fact that what it resulted in.
Oh, man.
I mean, Ozzy, either way, he was in the final three, so it didn't really matter.
Well, yeah, we didn't have to sit there and watch it for an hour and a half or however long it went.
Oh, no, I'm sure he kicked himself in the butt, only to get the result of Becky getting through anyways, right? So if he had just voted for Sandra to be out, that's what was going to happen if he had just stuck with Yul and Becky.
Right.
So not that it really, but it makes for one of the best fire making competitions of all time. If you haven't seen it in forever.
The worst fire making competition of all time.
If you haven't ever seen it, watch it. I'm sure somebody's illegally uploaded it to YouTube, or watch the episode, or rewatch it if you've seen it. It is I made a video call, or you can watch my video. The history of fire making duels. In that video, it's still it's my favorite. I don't care how close anyone else gets. People could be within 2 seconds. I don't care.
I'm glad
do not
you
care. This is the
enjoyed
best
that
one.
much.
For me, comedy trumps.
It wasn't funny
great
though.
Strategic
just sad.
play, and it was so funny. But it's not like sad. It's not like they're bad people or anything. It's just like this is like the worst display of fire making ever. They build up their whole teepee, and they're like, if you pay attention, they're like trying to spark from like a foot away. And like, it's they so clearly don't know how to make a fire.
Right.
But that's a later season. Another season, there's a fire making competition and I think somebody breaks the flint like twice. We'll get there. One day, but on the final four fire making, this one was just like, and then the run out of matches. Sandra runs out of matches. Sandra can't do it with the flint. She can't do it with matches. I'm glad Becky won it with the matches.
Yeah.
The show's like, all right, we've spent enough time. Let's just get to where Becky wins this challenge. Because I'm sure Becky didn't all of a sudden have a fire 2 seconds later. Like the way the show wanted you to think. But yeah, it was amazing. When Penner got voted out, he said, someone bring me back my hat. Now he does this again he does this again in another season. Oh, I know, I said no spoilers. It's happening. In another season, he gets voted out. Penner's not a 2-time winner. I think everyone knows this.
Right.
Penner plays 3 times. He's not a 2-time winner. I'll just put that out there. So another time he gets voted out, he does the same thing. He forgets his hat. He says, "Hey, bring back my hat." Yul brings back the hat in this season. Do you think that's why Penner gives Yul his vote?
No, I mean, Yul and Penner worked together. The majority of the time Penner was in the season.
Because the show really made a big deal about this.
Yeah, they did make a big deal out of it. I don't know why they made a big deal out of it. But I think Penner voted for Yul because he... Basically, when it came down to it, you vote for Yul because you appreciate his strategic play, or you vote for Ozzy because you appreciate his physical play.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, Penner appreciates strategy more than physicality.
This is true. I wonder, because the show made it such a big deal, I wonder if sometimes they do that, and I wonder, okay, maybe it was a bigger deal on the island and they just don't want to spend the time to show that. Maybe, I'm just saying, maybe had Ozzy brought it back to Penner, maybe it could have been closer. I don't think Ozzy nails it in the final tribal, but maybe he could have gotten Penner's vote. I don't know.
I don't think so.
You don't think it was even close?
No, not with Penner.
Yeah, it's just like these vote. We'll get there. We're there soon. Jeff though is just blown away. He's like, "Yul, you brought back Penner's hat? Is this like, are you playing the jury? Like, calm down, Jeff."
Yeah,
it's not that big of a deal.
He definitely made it dramatic. And then everyone picks up on it because anytime you find a weakness in anybody else, it's good to exploit it.
They're like, "Yul's playing to the jury."
Of course Yul's playing to the jury.
What?
No, I'm saying that they were leaning into it. Like, yes, Yul is playing to the jury.
To be fair, the way Yul does it is he said he would jokes about wearing it into the tribal, but what they do is they come into tribal, he puts it on Penner, where he puts on like one of the seats of the bench, and they sit down, and then the jury comes in. So had everyone said nothing, nobody would have known who brought Jonathan's hat back. But because a deal was made out of it, that's how Jonathan found out it was Yul who brought it back.
Right.
But Yul didn't make a show of it. Yul didn't like hold on to it, wait for the jury to come in, and then he gives it to Jonathan to make sure he knew. Yul did it like
he just
the
set
most
it up
humble
there.
way you could do it. Well, you know, in a way that if no one had said anything, Jonathan would have just known somebody brought it back, but I don't know who.
Right.
Though I'm sure he would have asked that final tribal, like, "Hey, which one of you brought back my hat?" You know, he would have known by then. Somebody would have told him. But I'm saying that Jeff made it such a big deal.
Right.
So. Ozzy, a couple notes. Ozzy wins 5 immunities. This is I want to say it's the 3rd time. I know Terry won 5, and I think Tom won 5 in Palau. I know for a fact Tom won at least 4, but I think he won 5. So Ozzy, man, we're on like a streak of challenge beasts here. Right. And I think that streak is broken. Like after, like I don't think there's like another challenge beast for many seasons after this. But like talk about just Tom versus Terry is like almost like a similar age and kind of archetype. Ozzy doesn't look like he would win 5 immunities, but he's just naturally gifted and just fits everything Survivor's looking for in challenges.
Well, he has the mental tenacity. Any challenge you win, you have to have the physical, but you have to have the mental.
He can swim. He can balance really well. We saw the one challenge where they basically make the thing to get the ring and with the stick. And what I'm trying to say is the whole obstacle course out in the water, though. And like even Yul, who's jacked and in shape, is like struggling on that thing. But Ozzy's just flying through. Yeah. Just flying through. Yeah. Dolphin diving. It's just like, it's nothing for him. Right. Nobody's even close to him. And you think Yul and Ozzy would be like mano y mano, but they never were. Nope. No, even on puzzles. Like we did that one. I think it was the final 5 immunity where they had to go and do 8 different obstacles, come back and do like the most difficult puzzle we've ever done in Survivor history, which Jeff does not update us every season on this. So I guess we can just assume this is the most difficult of all time. Still the most difficult. Never has been topped. I'm sure it has. I feel like more modern puzzles have gotten more complicated, but at the time, and it's like Ozzy like comes from behind, like he wasn't the first one to be working on that puzzle, but he comes from behind and wins it. And it's like, Ozzy's good at everything. Yeah. What isn't this guy good at when it comes to challenges?
He's pretty amazing.
He's amazing, yes. So, actually we've hit all my notes. So let's just get to it. Final tribal. And let's really talk about Ozzy versus Yul. Who's hotter? It's really the most important question to have.
That's the most important question.
At this age and time, at the current age you were at, looking at these two at the age they were in the show, who's hotter?
I probably would say Yul.
Yul definitely comes across as like the hotter one. I mean, not even just physically, just like you hear him talk, and Ozzy's almost like teenager. Like if you're a teenage or who's into, I don't know. If I'm saying if I was a girl, I think a teenager, I'd be into Ozzy.
Right. If I was young, when I was probably when this was on TV and I watched it, if I had watched it when it was on TV, I probably would have liked Ozzy better. But now as more grown up or more adult, I don't know, I think Yul's more attractive. But different people find different things attractive.
I never thought about either of them this way, by the way, until this season where I'm like, these two are really, but it's like their own ways. Because I watched all these seasons through at least season 14 live when they aired. And everybody loved Ozzy. I loved Ozzy.
Right.
Rewatching this, I'm like, I think we were just all enamored by how good he was at camp and his challenge prowess, because Yul's really the better Survivor player, as we learned.
Well, strategically, yeah.
Yul, he's the better. Yul's the better Survivor player, I think, overall. Ozzy beats him in challenges, but if Ozzy wasn't there, I feel like Yul's winning a bunch of these immunities.
Yeah, if Ozzy wasn't there, yes.
Coming in second, it seemed like a lot of times. Or at least was very close. I guess really my point is that like live, like everybody loved Ozzy. People still love Ozzy. And, he's great in his other seasons too, but it's more of, I guess what I'm saying, I think part of people's attraction to Ozzy is that he is attractive as well. Like he just has is it like a boyish charm?
Yeah.
I wonder if that worked in his favor on the island. We don't really see that. Like Parvati flirts with them, but Ozzy's like, whatever, with her.
Yeah, he doesn't seem to be the very flirtatious type. He seems very shy, kind of.
On this season.
In this season,
yeah. Because I feel like in future seasons he gets more confident, as we'll see.
Sure.
Especially when we talk about South Pacific and how I feel like he's he's probably overconfident in South Pacific that season. Probably because it's him versus a bunch of newbies. So, all right. I would say gameplay wise, yeah, Yul outplayed Ozzy, but it was 5-4. And two people that voted for Ozzy basically voted against Yul because they lived with Yul, but they never lived with Ozzy and still voted for Ozzy. So I wonder why. Like the show doesn't make it clear why it's a 5-4. Like it almost should have been 7-2.
But again, this is earlier Survivor.
It is earlier. It's mid-seasons. Yeah.
Like I said, I think people just appreciated his physicality. He won every single immunity challenge after the merge, right?
Yeah, the merge was so late, and he won 5. So yeah, that sounds about right.
So I think people just respected that and thought he should win based on that.
Who would you have voted for if you were on the jury?
Yul.
You would vote for Yul over Ozzy? Man, you know what? It depends. If I had lived with Ozzy and every day this dude was getting me coconuts off of trees, and I mean, the jury was clearly the jury favored Yul just on paper based on who lived with who. But I mean, if I had lived with both, like sure, Yul's outwitting everybody, right? And has this super idol that everyone knows about come the merge. By the time they reach literally at the, by the way, I appreciate the auction. Every time it comes up, I'm like, why not just bring this back, please? Modern Survivor. But at the auction, he's just like, yeah, I have it. And Jeff's like, well, do you want to show it to everyone? Bold, Jeff. Bold move, Jeff. Maybe he doesn't want to show it to but Jeff kind of pressures him. And he shows it to everybody. I have the idol. I don't know. I would be like, I feel like I'd almost knock Yul down a little bit for it. If he didn't have the idol and he did what he did, I'd be like, impressive.
I thought you just said he was the better Survivor.
I think he is better overall Survivor. But if you're asking who I would vote for at the jury, I think this is the part that gets forgotten is that, okay, well, who did I live with? Who did me right? If Ozzy votes me out, it's almost like Ozzy's not the one who masterminded me going out of the game.
Sure.
I'm saying that I'd be a little petty. I would love to think that I would have no emotions and I'd probably be a little petty.
What?
And I don't think Ozzy did anyone dirty. I think Yul did people dirty, whether they liked it or not. But I too had to come from behind. So at the same time, it's like you don't take it too much against him.
Right.
They had to do what they had to do.
I guess I can't say for 100% I'd vote for Yul because you're right. It does depend on who you lived with, who you interacted with.
Just watching the show, I'd say Yul.
Right. Just watching the show.
But if I was an actual jury member.
Sure. It would be a lot more complicated, which is why we see the 5-4 vote.
Oh, yeah. It's so close. I almost wish you hadn't known Yul was the winner of the season going in because that was like, you went Ozzy, Yul, Ozzy, or it's like Yul, Ozzy, whatever. The order it was like and got down to like 4-4, and like would you have guessed Yul? Not knowing Yul, would you have been able to guess Yul got that last vote?
I think I would have, just because of the edit.
Yeah. I feel like the story, and I feel like the general, I mean, Ozzy wins fan favorite. The story really, especially the fans at the time, like favors Ozzy. Ozzy's like the fan favorite for a reason. Though apparently the vote was super close between Ozzy and Yul, they said. I get why Ozzy won. It's such a close debate. I almost wish this season could have played out again. A second time would have, like, with erase everybody's mind, go back in time, do the season over again. Would it have ended up with Yul beating Ozzy? I don't know.
Why wouldn't it? You have the same players, same variables.
I don't know. Something. If the people don't mutiny, does it go the same? Does Ozzy get voted out way earlier? Does Yul find the super idol if they don't send him to X? If Yul doesn't have super idol, does he do what he does? I don't know. It's just like, if one thing changes, is it a whole different, like, does Ozzy win?
Well, you could say that about any Survivor season.
But because this one was so close, it's not like Boston Rob and Amber in All Stars, where it's like, had Boston Rob just been treated one of those 4 jury members that voted for Amber the way he should have from the beginning, he would have won. Like, it's so clear. I don't need the whole season replay. I know what needed to be done. Here, it's like, I don't know what needed to be done for Ozzy to win, because I don't even fully understand how Yul got the 5 votes he did, because we don't see people like voting and saying why they voted.
Yeah.
For pretty much all the. I wish they had done that, because like, if I just like, I don't know, in Borneo they do that, show you every single person saying why they vote for who they're voting for, except for the decision maker. I wish we could. They kind of do that the next couple seasons, but then they kind of pull away from that. I wish they did it still.
Yeah, that'd be interesting.
If it's gonna be a 5-4, I wish they did it. Show me the 8 jurors. Give me, like, I don't need their full speech. Just give me, like, here's why I'm voting for you. So I know, like, okay, well, here's the one juror that didn't vote for Oz. Here's the one juror that I don't know. I can probably figure out why they didn't. But now I'm like over here trying to figure out like why 8 juror members voted the way they did. And it's kind of like, I don't know. That's the one change I wish Survivor, or at least in like a secret scene or a on the DVD or bonus or whatever.
Sure.
An option to like watch their full voting confessional when they vote for the winner. I wish that was, if you want longer episodes, if you could just give me a bonus of that, like that would help me understand.
Yeah.
Because people at the reunions can say whatever they want, but they just spent 5 months away from the season and they watch the show and their things change. I want to know what they thought on the island. Yeah.
That makes sense.
People do post-game press all they want. They can change the story all they want. They've had time to think about what they think. I want to know on the island why they voted the way they did. Yeah. So I agree with you though. For watching TV show, I'd vote for Yul. But on the island, I could have voted for Ozzy. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I get it.
I could have too, I suppose.
I get it. Okay. Well, do you have anything else before I move on to questions people gave us?
No.
Okay. So on Patreon, which by the way, on Patreon, if you can watch every video I make early, you vote on what videos I make, suggest videos, and we vote on those suggestions every month. We vote on secrets videos, everything. Almost every, I'll say 95% of the videos I upload are patrons picked. So anyways, all right. So patron questions. First one's from Joshua Spitzer, aka Outcast Originals on Instagram. Just curious if you feel if this season's as overrated as he thinks it is. He thinks there's some good characters, but overall it was predictable and or filled with a lot of boring moments. What'd you think, Mary? Do you think it was predictable with a lot of boring moments?
I don't think it was predictable, and I enjoyed it a lot, actually. But maybe I'm just not as good at reading how things go as other people. I don't know. I wasn't predicting, the mutiny. I wasn't predicting that the 4 would be the final 4. I don't know. I thought a lot of the moments were actually really interesting and entertaining. Ugh, words.
That's okay. It's been a long day. We're recording this at the end of the day. Personally, I think this was better than season 12, which I know is an unpopular opinion, but whatever. Season 12, the first time going through, I was like, this is an okay season. I thought season 12 was predictable because once Terry, it's either Terry wins immunity, and if he doesn't, like we know it was going to happen, but like here, and sure, you could but I-24 pulling it out over the other 8 people they were up against was not predictable.
Right.
I did not I knew what was going to happen. I knew it was going to win, but I'm saying as a first time watch, just watching it and enjoying the experience, like I did not know. But I do think there's the rewatchability that has to be factored in. Like Palau. Oolong gets decimated. We'll never win an immunity challenge. You go back and rewatch it. It's harder to watch.
Right.
Knowing exactly what's going to happen and you're never going to be like pleasantly surprised. Oh, I forgot this happened. No, it happens exactly as you remember. And I think this season could suffer from that. But on a first time watch, I thought it was better than 12. But 12 on a rewatch is funnier because people are going to be nuts. So maybe 12 is better on a rewatch. This one's worse on a rewatch. I don't know. I haven't rewatched a season. I haven't made videos for it yet.
Yeah.
That'll come soon.
I can see how Ozzy winning every single immunity challenge could be boring. But to me, I thought it was fascinating because I guess because I know Yul wins anyways. And so to me, I kept waiting for Ozzy to fail and he never did.
Yeah, because Mary didn't know he made Final 3.
Right. I assumed he was going to get voted out. Sometime soon after the merge, which means at some point he'd have to lose a challenge. So that to me was fun that he kept winning. So
I look forward to the next 2 seasons watching with you because I know you don't know how those 2 turn out. There's only a handful of seasons you don't know how they turn out yet. And less than a handful now. And yeah, I'm looking forward to it because there's some big things down the pipeline. But anyways, so I agree with you. I think on the first time watch, this one was not boring. If you were watching live at the time, it was not boring. I remember this season live. This was not a boring season, especially if you're rooting for Ozzy.
Yeah.
Apparently most of America was, but not by a huge margin. You almost got fan favorite too. Okay, next question from Nadi. All right, I might butcher this. Nadav, Nadav. What do you think about the cast as a whole? There are some iconic characters: Yul, Penner, Ozzy, Parvati, and Candace. Though in their opinion, Ozzy's really boring and Parvati didn't do anything interesting this season. I beg to differ. I think Parvati did interesting things, just nothing strategically interesting.
Isn't that the point?
If Survivor was just all strategy, it would not be Survivor.
I know.
Yeah, that's. I think some of the most hardcore fans, and it happens to me too, are like, okay, well, we're not doing strategy, so. But it's like camp life and just people's personalities are so important. Otherwise, just go watch something else. There was other shows that have been all focused on strategy and they have not lasted or done as well for a reason.
Sure.
Literally, there's a show called The Challenge because people just want to watch challenges. Because that show is mostly what it is. It's mostly challenges. Anyways, so sorry, I didn't finish the question. But outside of them, with the exception of Billy and Cowboy, are really uninteresting and boring. Well, we just named 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 people. I mean, out of 20, it's not half.
Pretty good. There are definitely
Billy and Cowboy do go early.
There are definitely seasons in Survivor that have 1 or 2 interesting characters.
I would argue Guatemala is carried on the back of like 3 people.
Right.
And I like those 3 people, but there are definitely worse casts than Cook Islands.
I thought it was a good cast.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it.
I think Vanuatu as well only has in my opinion, 5 really interesting people. And Vanuatu for me is like a top tier season. So, I mean, they make it far. Almost every person they named, with the exception of Billy and Cowboy, make it far. If Cowboy had made it to the end, final 8, this season would move up and be better for me. Because Cowboy is just enjoyable. I think a Cowboy just rein him back a little bit. He's very enjoyable. So, I don't know. I mean, sure, they're not we don't have 8 Shanes or whatever, but not every season can have a Shane.
8 Shanes?
Not every season can have a Kasaya alliance. Giovanni asked, by the way, fan favorite of mine just because of the name.
I know, every time.
Every time. But also Giovanni is cool. He's always commenting on stuff. Did the Penner hate from specifically the Rare people go too far? Because they really didn't like Penner. It seemed, I don't know. It kind of went both. Who what was first, the chicken or the egg? Did Penner be mean to them first, or were they just mean to Penner first? I don't know.
I don't know. It was hard for me to really pinpoint what was going on because I didn't feel like everything that he was doing was done intentionally and they just took things the wrong way. Yeah. I don't know. I feel like they were a little bit, I feel like not being there, just watching the show, they took it a little too far. But I could be wrong. We don't know the whole story. I
think, and this is going to come up in specifically for those who have seen season 19, where a character is in confessionals saying things or is off by themselves saying things about other people. And sure, they're not saying those things to their face, right? So Penner here is like very upset with his tribe slacking. And maybe he doesn't say that to their face.
Right.
Maybe he's just saying it to us. Maybe he's just saying it to one other person. But the fact of the matter is that if you're saying these things about somebody, and if you know season 19, you know who I'm talking about, that is going to be reflected through your actions with them. Unless you're just the best actor in the world, even if you don't say those words, that feeling that you have is going to come off towards them.
Right.
So Penner may have never have said, guys, you're annoying the living crap out of me to them, and just treated them like they're annoying the living crap out of him. And they felt it. And therefore they're like, Penner sucks.
Yeah.
And so it could have been, or it could have been the other way where they just thought Penner sucked for whatever reason. Because he was on exile in the beginning. Maybe they had time away from him. They're like, I don't know. Point being is, either way, they're both in the wrong in their own unique ways, which is a lot of the times what happens with fights.
Well, sure.
In life and in Survivor. Usually, it's very rare where there's one party it's completely clean, but it happens. But usually both parties are at fault in some way or in the wrong. Ethan asks, seriously, how come Candace has the amount of fans she does? Any insight into that? Because Candace comes back and plays 2 more times.
I don't know. I kind of thought she was boring.
Yeah. Okay, I get bringing back Candace one more time in Survivor, right? Like, to be fair, while she is not some like, to me, she's like a pretty normal person. Like she's a pretty, like she's pretty and she's normal. She's a pretty normal person. But despite that, Billy fell in love with her instantly. And she has this whole thing with Adam, and they make out tribal. Like, she has some moments. It is because of another person that the moments happen. It's not like her by herself or making these moments. So she did cause moments in the season. So I can get bringing back once, but how she's brought back twice, I agree with you. I don't understand.
No idea.
Also, she's brought back for the season Heroes versus Villains as a hero. And what? I would say she's more neutral to me, but
yeah,
in this season, she's presented more as a villain because of she goes against the I-24 who ends up being the heroes of the season. So I think that's commonly been talked about. It's like, how did she end up in the hero tribe? To me, it's like, I don't know. To me, personally, I felt like she's more neutral. Like, she's not a hero or a villain. I'm sure when I do her story video, it'll end up being villain. Oh, no, actually, she didn't get voted for. Cowboy, Yul, Ozzy, Penner, and Parvati got voted for. But if I had known for Candace, I feel like it would have ended up villain for those wondering, because probably the story betrayed her as one.
Well, most of the time, I feel like her actions were neutral, except for the mutiny, and that's obviously a villainous move. So
yeah, but when you trash on other people, like even if it's just Penner, it's like just you being mean. Even if it's someone who just is unpleasant, it is a villainous act. Like a truly heroic person is not out taking vengeance on people. Is like Batman, I'm vengeance. I just stated the podcast. But a truly heroic person, it's like Yul perfectly embodies a heroic person this season. Same with Ozzy. Like this season, there's like very little in the way of villainy from those two. But Candace definitely has some. So, I don't know. To me, she's neutral, and I think bringing her back once is fine. But why'd she get brought back a second time? I have no idea. No idea. Laura asks, do you think that Survivor would have been canceled if a member of the original Raro tribe won the season, aka the white tribe, the Caucasian tribe? Would they have been canceled? I don't know about that.
I don't think they've been canceled.
But it would have been a bad look.
It would have been a bad.
We did a race season, and Penner, Parvati, and Candace were the final 3. Or Penner, Parvati, and Adam. Or Adam, Parvati, and if Adam, Parvati, and Candace were the final 3, I would have been like, this
would have been one of the worst seasons.
Won
yeah,
out of those 3?
I
don't know, and I don't even if Parvati won, I'd be like, no, I don't know. I don't think she gets brought back. That's what I'm saying. If Parvati won the season, like maybe she gets brought back for like the all winner season, but like Parvati's not going to become who she becomes if she wins this season, because
she would have been ruined, like Penner said.
Yeah, no, well, I don't know if the money would have ruined her, but I do think people's perception of her win would have been like, yeah, whatever. Like, yeah. So I agree with you. I'm glad that not the Raro tribe won.
Yeah, because
that would have been a bad look. They kind of set them up like that. It's kind of like David versus Goliath. Like, inherently, you want to root for the David tribe. You don't. And that's season 37, but you don't want to root for the Goliath tribe just because of the names.
Yeah.
It's kind of like here. It's like the race wars. Well, I don't inherently want to root for the white tribe. Like, who? I don't want to be like, go Whiteys. You kind of like, you're like, okay, I hope they do well, but I hope they don't win, you know?
Right.
Just do okay. Just make the merge. Don't go any further. No, don't make Final Three. No, don't beat Yul and Ozzy. That would have been terrible. If somebody had beaten Yul and Ozzy, I've been like, this is bad.
Well, thankfully no one could.
Yeah, thankfully it turned out the way it did, I guess what we're trying to say. So, well, that's all I have for Cook Islands. Do you have anything else?
No, it was a good season. I enjoyed watching it.
Yeah. This secrets video for the season will be fun. I'm sure if I can find some juicy secrets about the behind the scenes of the decision to do. I'm sure I haven't gone through and looked through everything, but I'm pretty sure I can find something about why this decision was made. But I'm going to look and try to find like some solid information. Who decided this is a good idea?
Right.
So anyways, next time we're going to do Survivor Fiji, not modern Fiji. The one time they went to Fiji in season 14. With, by the way, just a preview, my favorite Exile Island look, the way it looks, the way they built it is my favorite one. So the skull in season 12 is cool, but I like the tower. You saw the preview.
Yeah.
Of it. I really like the tower on the hill. I don't know, just my favorite one. So
Cool.
Yep. All right. Well, we love you guys. And that's worth more than $1 million. All right. Bye, Billy.